Oh. Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 302, it's the welcome return of Karma Sex. And
hello there.
Hello. Yes, if you listened to the episode before, yes, her master is here. Master Joshua. Oh my Lord. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
A pleasure having you here, both of you. Now, let's say this. I'm not too sure how we're going to start this menage a trois of conversation, but yes, I'm sure it will start out in a fun way. Now, yes, before we came on air, Karma mentioned she twisted her ankle. And I rather innocently asked how she twisted her ankle. How did you do that?
Really high heels, uneven floor.
How high were these hills?
I'd say 7-inch.
So,
Not the highest ever, but high. A high fall from.
okay.
Oh yeah, and you want the rest of it. Yes. Master Joshua and I were on our way to see the Hump Fest, which is a festival of amateurs / indie / alternative porn films. That is now doing its 18th run in the US. And I was going for it for the second time because I was going to write about it, because it represents a chunk of all the variants of alternative sexuality that are currently unfolding. Like if you want a picture of who's doing what all over the world in the realm of alternative sexuality, that was a good one.
Okay. This is the thing. This is going to be very interesting because here's the thing. You're kind of, how can I say, not doughy-eyed or a sweet little innocent, because we've had conversations and
you kind of like that.
Yeah. But yeah, now Joshua, now this is the thing. Before I started this interview with Karma, I did see your follow request come up on my Instagram, and let's just say the first post I looked at, there was a very happy young lady smiling away, and then when I basically clicked one of your videos, Kink Fest you were talking about on Kink Mountain. Let's just say.
You gotta see.
Yeah.
Well, did you see his fist about elbow deep in somebody's ass, or does that not go on?
That's not Instagram friendly.
Thankfully, no. Because I'd be like, this conversation most probably will not be happening right now. That was an eye opener. Someone looked a little bit shocked when that went on. So, with this, Joshua, being a veteran like you have been in this world, is there anything what still surprises you to this day?
Surprising me is kind of hard. I've seen a lot of stuff, and I think what is more surprising is the creative aspects to things as opposed to the acts themselves. For example, penetration, right? Using large objects to penetrate versus penetration in general, right? It's like I like the creative uses of it. Like, for example, I had a client who we had a winch and we had a plug the size of my thigh, and at the base it was easily about 5 inches in diameter, and we were using the winch to lower him onto the toy.
Okay, it's a different world what exists in your head to compare to my head.
Yeah, no, and I have to remind myself that I've been doing this for a while, so these things aren't a lot to me. They're like standard operating procedure, but for a lot of folks, it's many layers down. right? So what I end up talking about is the process of trust building that takes to get to that point.
Right.
Because we all have things that we're interested and curious about. It's more about feeling safe enough to pursue it and not feel judged for it.
Because like I suppose like for both of you with the realm of okay, the perspective of what is the definition of like normal to either of you must be very like it must still be quite different for both of you, if you get what I mean. Because what like for the length of time you've been in the situation, like in this world, Joshua, compared to Karma, it's a considerable amount of time. So like, yeah, how do you both kind of work out what is the right level for each of you and not going like too extreme, if you get what I mean?
I'll take it. I remember in the beginning when I just began getting to know Joshua, he used to send me pictures just of what he does. Of course, consensual, but I would see stuff that I did not only not understand, but really abhor. Like it really created a like, ew. I did not know you could put that inside that, and I did not want to know. And it seems very. Why are you showing me this? Was always my question. Why are you showing me this? And he always answered, you wanted to know who I am. This is what I do. This is who I am, and this is. And he always answered very similarly to what he said to you, right? He says, I'm used to this. These are just people to me. I am just communicating here. I'm with people in the way that people want me to be with them. And to me, it isn't anything shocking, probably no more than, it is for a gynecologist to do a gynecological check. That's his profession. As for me, I got used to it.
I'll have to push back a bit with the whole gynecologist thing. It's the only reason why I say that is, yeah, you could like ladies going for a checkup, but not that sort of like checkup, if you get what I mean.
It's a sexual checkup.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But like, stuff goes in, stuff goes out, you put the gloves on, you do something in there. Doesn't matter.
And you watch the response.
Yeah. It's not as it's once you remove the whole taboo aspect, there's nothing that shocking about it anymore. I mean, I don't see him ever, pull out a live bunny or something, but
not yet.
Not me.
Yeah, what comes to mind is Lily Winks, and that's what I got to say. So okay, right. So like, okay, with regards to like when you first met up, and this is like to Joshua, like knowing that Karma was a married lady and like you know what I mean, kind of like looking into this world. Like, was there like a sort of thought of, okay, yeah, she's off limits because she's married, or was it a case of it was just a realm of it, like trying to enlighten her some way?
So to enlighten her, here we are. No, it's multi-layered actually. As she had mentioned, I was dealing with accusations of assault and rape within the kink community, from not within the kink community, from two exes, simultaneously, just about. And there's a whole story there. It's like I have the receipts to show I didn't do it, but no one ever asked, and I can go down that whole road. But that's a whole different story. Karma, having stepped into my world at the time and was curious about the lifestyle. My intention was to show her what this lifestyle is and what it isn't. Because to be interviewed by a major media outlet it gives us an opportunity to show what it is and what it isn't. That we can take the fear away, the stigma away from it, if I can just break it down into a way that can be easily digestible.
Mm-hmm.
In that time of getting to know her, she got wind of the accusations. And what I said to myself is, I will show her exactly who I am. Because evidence aside, like evidence included and aside, I think if you get to know who I am, you would see that what I was accused of, just it doesn't match up. So at the same time, I was approaching her as an adversary because she's a journalist, right? So it was like I had no idea that she had such positive emotions towards me. I thought her bone was the story.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing around those periods of time of accusations is no one talks to you, and you get isolated from everyone, regardless of culpability. No one ever talks, right? So it's like no one wants to blame the victim, because if they start asking the victim, it's like this whole to do, but there's not a responsibility of due process in that. So karma having given me the platform to talk openly, the only person that I was drawn to her because of how reasonable she was.
Mm-hmm.
She was flipping all the stones over. Now, with the marriage, when it came to the marriage, I tried to circumvent morals with ethics, meaning I only needed her consent. I didn't need her husband's consent. That was her responsibility from where I was standing.
Mm-hmm.
And how she navigated that, her not being my submissive, I couldn't have any agency in how that was handled. She was a safe space for me, and I cheated the system, trying to beat the system. Unfortunately, karma, big K karma, is also my governing law, right? So the bad shit through lying, the bad stuff of hiding from both of our ends,
Mm-hmm.
it added stress, it added tension, it added negative thoughts. And it's like, how do we fix the problem if the boat went into the water off kilt, right? So when she was going through her hardships personally, I realized at that point what was missing after being together in varying degrees, but without a relationship, a power exchange relationship. There was no recognition in the role that she played in my life. And what she was experiencing was, I'm just another number. And none of this clicked to me until we had our discussion about help me. And I said, well, ultimately, if you're going to ask for my help, you have to be obedient. If I'm going to put my time into helping you navigate this ground, you have to trust me. Mm-hmm. Now, we've put in a year or so of trust building.
Okay.
So it was like, if the dots are connecting, lean into it and let me guide you through this. And ultimately, that's like the long story short of how I handled it, which I admit I was wrong, because you can't circumvent morals with ethics, right? And ultimately, like I tell everyone else, you have to make sure that your home is secure, that your home is taken care of before stepping out and doing things. I'm also human, and to feel safe with someone was a big deal at that time, because I had no one to talk to. And I've been deeply established in the community. So it was like two extremes: either you supported me or you're putting me out to dry. And she was the only fact finder in that. So it was very soothing for me to know that I could trust her to the degree of her integrity when it came to understanding truth.
True. Like, because like listening to you and listen to your story, like rather quickly, there's like many sort of deep realms which I'm sure your story can go to with regards to that time, darkness, loneliness, which like was occurring at the time. Like, and karma being that sort of, how can I put it? Lifeline in some regards. Okay. Was it a case of like, I have to ask this because there are going to be people who are like, yeah, was it just because of your circumstance at that time, which turned like Karma from just another lass to basically being more? Or is it a case of like, is she now just another lass now that things have become more stable in your world? It's a question.
No. No, that's legit. That's legit.
Go ahead. Yeah, keep asking.
No, you know what it was? I was bored during COVID. How's that feel?
He's getting back at me.
You
He's
know
getting back at me.
what I just simply say is, when you next meet, well, like one of you is gonna make it. I'm not betting on
No, no. It was. I don't. And this is hard looking from the outside, understanding poly relationships and how I function with the people in my life. To gain access to my time and my body, you have to hit a threshold of being a better person, right? That you are working on your shit so that when we connect, we can trust each other with openness and integrity and transparency. Now, easier said than done. There's a lot of work that goes into that. I have to, when I connect with anyone, I have to make sure that we're on the same page of what are we doing with our life. Like currently, I'm still in a poly relationship and I have multiple partners. And my goals with all of my partners essentially is, how do I help you get to your goals? And how do you support me to get to mine? With Karma, when we met, she provided me the safe space, and she saw me and she heard who I was, and she knew me better than I knew myself. And still at times, she still knows me better than I know myself. She was like a knight for me, like a knight in shining armor, but more like a warrior soldier, where we would come up against hardships in life, decisions that had to be made, courses that had to be walked, and she would do it, right? Lock, stock, and barrel, like, let's do this, because the consistency that we've had, thankfully, more often than not, the dots lined up. And I don't trust anyone more than I trust her.
Interesting. Because, okay, like with regards to like polyamorous relationships where you've got multiple partners and everything like this, it's very difficult to give yourself to wholly or to a level when it's just two people. Like, and then when you're sort of splitting focus amongst, I don't know the number. I'm like, I will be respectful. I will not ask the number. Yeah. How do you like? Oh, okay. Wow, she ratted you out there. Like, so how do you like actually sort of come like to like a unified goal? Because Karma, you like, you know what I mean, came from a very
that's legit
space, and you know.
Can I take it?
Yeah, certainly.
It takes a huge shift in your mind. It takes a really the point where it becomes the system has a weakness that monogamy does not have, right? A system of multiple partners. If you're looking at it from the point of view of monogamy, you will not get the same kind of attention, the same kind of focus, the same kind of loyalty, the same kind of devotion, the same kind of presence that you would get in a monogamy, because there just isn't that much time and energy. Instead of having all your eggs in one basket, you're dividing it between people, so there won't be as much. That is just sort of like the essential math of it. The question, though, is that is a weakness or a strength, really depends on how are you looking at it. So it's kind of like that famous picture of two people and a candlestick. Is it a candlestick or two faces facing each other? What you see as a weakness of it, this person cannot give me all his time. I can't get all of my needs met from this person is also an advantage, because after a while you say like, I can't get all my needs met from this person, but why am I asking for that? As in, do I need my needs to be met by another person, or is it my responsibility to find a way to meet my own needs and just have him in my life in whatever capacity he can fill, and vice versa? Because once you let go of what comes with monogamy is sort of a promise of you will never be hungry for attention, for time, for like, I'll be here for you and you'll be here for me, and that's our deal, kind of, right? Whenever I want you, you're right here. There's nobody else to take your time or your body or something from you, so you're not threatened in any way. It's about safety, monogamy. It's about the promise you will always have what you want from the other person. And in poly, you do not have that. But what you learn in a way is to not rely on another person to satisfy your feeling of what am I? Your feeling of to satisfy your needs, essentially. As in, it's a different way of looking at it completely, right? Because as long as you look at it from the point of view of, I need love, I need support, I need somebody to be there on all the days that are important for me, I need somebody to hold my hand, and that person has to be you all the time, you will not get that in a polyamory. But once you stop thinking that way and you start thinking in a way of like, I need my needs met, but there are many people in the world who can meet my needs in different ways. As in, my need for friendship can be filled by friends, and my need for support can be filled by my husband, and my need for understanding can be filled by, you find the responsibility to who needs to meet your needs shifts from whoever it is you have your focus on to yourself. I think that was for me the key about what it was to move from a monogamy to a polyamory. And it was very painful because it takes a while until you stop looking at that person who you have a fixation on to feed you, and start looking in the mirror and saying like, I can't, nobody can do this for me. Not my husband, not my master. Nobody can feed me. I have to feed me.
Right. I have to like ask the same of you, Joshua, because like, yeah, because like it's quite fresh and new for you, like yourself, like I keep on thinking, yes, it's not like it's yesterday. You've gone through a journey, but it's just like much more recent journey than like Joshua here. Like, how did you come to this like realization? Was it the same way, or was it like slightly different way?
So the way I look at it is, at this point in my life, my goals are my priority over anything else. My work, I find it purposeful. Like I shouldn't, like my purpose is my priority. Everything else comes after that. It took me until my 40s, late 30s, but really my 40s to understand, what am I doing on this earth and why is it important to me? Now, not to say I disregard the needs of my partners. What it is I prioritize things differently, and they all have a different role to play in the life I'm living. If it's introspectively, if it's like where Karma and I are at now, she is more like my equal. Someone she's more of my friend than anything else at this point, right? Now we're intimate, we have our varying levels of intimacy and relationship, but first and foremost, she's my friend. And she's a person that I talk to process life. So I guess what I do is I give different vulnerabilities to different partners because that's what they've earned. That's where it's most strongly suited, right? Like, for example, I wouldn't ask Karma to balance my budget. I'd ask I'd ask my slave
He
Mary to
wants to
balance
keep
my
his
budget,
budget.
right?
Pay taxes.
Right. So it's so we play on each other's strengths and we help support each other through the weaknesses.
Because like this is the thing, and like okay, I understand the fact that yes, you can't get everything from one person, but like sort of okay, with the whole sort of poly side of things where yes, you're like seeking sexual gratification and like yeah, other things from
It's past sexual gratification.
well,
Poly isn't about sexual gratification. There's a lot of it, but that was also worked towards, right? It's not about the hookup anymore. It's about how are we moving the needle towards life fulfillment.
yeah, what I was going
And
to
and with that, I give them vulnerability to do things to me that mainstream media or the internet won't see, right? Because those are shared vulnerabilities, like the hand into the wrist, into the elbow. Like I give them that of myself.
I understand
Right?
that.
So it's like
No, because I was going to say because like yeah, from sexual gratification for that sort of personal, intimate connection with each other, it's like okay, what it like how like what is the quality going to be like? Because it's a different thing when you're pulling from a number of different sources compared to like yeah, much more of a tighter.
no, the quality is superb. The quality is ridiculous. That's a this is why I don't
If
wish
he may say
polyamory on
so
my worst
himself.
enemy. Like it's extremely fulfilling simply because we've invested so many years into learning each other that I can ask them to do things to me and I can ask to do things to them, as long as we're not conflicting morally and everyone's consenting. Like we're good. Like we'll try things because it's enjoyable, because I like feeling that way with them and they like feeling that way with me.
You have to
But
understand,
it only gets better.
we've come to, all of us, all of his partners have come to a sort of equilibrium. We don't see ourselves as separate anymore. We see ourselves as a symbiosis, as an ecosystem, as a polycule. We're a unit.
Okay.
We may not all be lovers of each other, but we're like a granular family. We're involved in each other's lives. We take care of each other. We care about each other to varying extents, right? We're not all like, it's just like in your family. You got your brother who you love like a brother, and you've got your cousin who you care about and you see every now and then, and you got like, we've had almost 5 years together, all of us, people who are, and it's almost like a family. So there's no more, while there still is friction and there still is, sometimes he has to go somewhere with another partner on a date that is important to me because I care about the other partner. It's not a conflict. It's more like it's not a conflict. It doesn't involve jealousy or hostility or sort of territorialness anymore. It's more about getting along together with understanding and compassion that, we all sharing the same environment, same resources in a way.
With a lot of mistakes made in the way, right? None of this should have been done easy. And I'm thankful that they've had just as much patience with me, if not more, because when you slip up, you got to own it. You got to come to the drawing board. You got to talk about it. And that shit's not easy, man. That's why I don't wish poly on my worst enemy, because you have to work at this. But then if you look at any relationship in your life, if the relationships that you want present in your life, you got to work on them too. I just happen to be lucky to have all these dominant women in my life.
Yeah,
he calls it lucky sometimes.
I won't say he's crazy, but that's another story.
That's a whole different podcast.
Well, yeah, well, indeed. So, would you say, like, with regards to, like, say, mental state, would you have to be quite mentally fluid and mentally resilient at the same time for all of this going on?
Yes.
Easily.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be both fluid and resilient, because you're dealing with not one person's life, not two people's lives intersecting. You're dealing with a lot of people's lives, 5 people's lives intersecting.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he somehow, common sense and sort of basic just coming from monogamy, you would say, if a person is in 5 people's lives as a partner, he can't be important to all of them, but he is. And it is a real, honest, deep relationship for all of us. So if one of his, so you have to be fluid, because you're dealing with a lot of parameters coming in from a lot of sources, some of them you don't even know about. It really requires a lot of trust in the system and in your partners, because it has to be drawn from the assumption that everybody is acting in goodwill and everybody is a good person, and that everybody wants to be kind to each other, even when circumstances don't work out that way. That assumption is so essential to keeping things going, that, and it takes resilience to go back to that assumption when you're giving up something that you wanted, or because it happens to us all the time, to all of us, right? When he's with somebody, he's not with somebody else. Right? So that has to be, and it does take resilience to, at some moments, it's very aggravating that he's not with you when you want him to be with you.
This weekend is a good example of that. I dropped the ball, and I didn't put a date on that Karma and I had for this Saturday. My mistake led me to booking a trip to San Francisco, and I'm out here now with one of my other partners for a psychedelic conference, because that's also in my list of my repertoire of things.
Mm-hmm.
The shame that I had when I realized that I fucked up, and my needing Karma to call me out, like to point shit out a little more steadfastly to me if I'm fucking something up, is my responsibility in this.
No. Oh, sorry, you were going to say, Karma.
She's a friend, right? I mean, that, I think the way we finally worked that situation off, right, is an excellent example of both the challenge it presents, and the resilience and good faith it requires to be in such a relationship. But bottom line, the qualities it develops are more important than the challenges it presents, because if I booked us an event, right, and I had a lot hanging on it, he made a mistake and booked an event with another partner, right, and he was not there for the event that we booked, which created resentment and anger both towards him and towards the other partner, right, who took him, kind of like. So it's sort of like, hey, that was mine, you took it. So you would think that things, that's the starting point, right? That's what the world thinks there is. That's what you would think about polyamorous relationships. If you were monogamous, looking from the outside in, you would think, oh my God, what a mess, what a horrible. But then you do this thing in your head where you put yourself in the shoes of the other partner and you understand she didn't do anything. And you do this thing in your head where you're like, he doesn't even understand what happened. He doesn't realize what happened. So I have to be braver and stronger than I currently am and stand up to him and say, you did me wrong on this, because he didn't realize that. He didn't do the math. He didn't see it until I called him, until I've faced And it's scary, right? Because he is the dominant partner. He's the boss, right? He's the master, has been for a long time, saying to him, look, something like that, it's scary. And once you do it, you feel 10 inches higher, 10 inches taller, because damn, that took some guts out of, it took some guts to do, and it was the right thing to do. And it created peace. So this road of polyamory is a road of many challenges that forces growth. You have to grow to meet all these challenges. They come at you fast, and you have to keep growing and growing and growing to meet them. So you only take it if you want to be on a road that presents continuous challenges, but is always resolved by love and faith.
I see. Like, interesting you bring up faith, because look, if you take a look at the world of religion, like, yes, like Muslim, like Mormons, like there is, like, yes, sort of man marries more than one lady. Like there, I think well, with Muslim religions it can be up to 4. And I think with Mormons, I think it can go up to as much as you can actually like financially support it. Mind-blowing. But like there is this sort of unified force of purpose, like which leads that group together. Is there such a thing with your group? Because you, like, there was, like, Joshua, you mentioned purpose before, and yes, how does that work?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And credit be given. You want to go?
so yeah, I'll jump in real quick. So, the work that I do is I help people find wholeness, completion within their life with their identity. And what I've done with that is we've built out intensives and retreats for people to attend these workshops to find their own identity. In that process, when I've connected with each of my partners and they've done the same for me, is we provide space for them to be whole, to feel safe, seen, and heard, and to say, I trust you enough to walk beside you. The truth of the matter is, in order to get there, we had to work on integrity, and integrity being truth, and truth being not just not lying, but omission, leaving out details, right? White lies, all of that shit has to be paved over, done. And it's easier said than done. It is much easier said than done. But the commitment and the investment to a partner who accepts you as you are is, I want to say that's the point of human experience, right? Is to be accepted as you are and to find that tribe of folks who will let you be who you are. If I were to die tomorrow, I would hope that they stay connected some way to continue supporting each other. But I also have to ask myself, like, what is the purpose of existence? Why am I in these relationships? What is the goal with them? It's not just because a book said so. Do I believe in higher powers and higher purposes? 100%. I don't believe the written doctrines to be anything other than guides to living a fruitful life, right? So I hope I didn't get too sidetracked off of the question. I'm sorry. It put a lot of things into my head.
But yeah, but what, like, both of you, what would you say is one sort of factor of that unified purpose you believe to be true?
Is that for me or him?
Like, whoever wants to like field it, I'm like, you know what I mean, putting it out there.
I'd say we I think all of us who are here for years and years now have a commitment to, and I know it sounds cliche, I know it sounds abstract, but there's a commitment to growth, because when you make this shift into, for me at least, other people came from different points, but for me, when you make this shift from a default lifestyle, a normative default lifestyle, to a lifestyle that is different and requires a lot of work to make it work. And it requires a lot of standing up for yourself and speaking your truth and finding your truth and making things work on multiple fronts with other people. You start growing, start understanding the world more. You start understanding yourself more, and not just understanding, you learn like new operating skills regarding the world. You learn how to move with people. You learn how to, it stops being like a me and the world, and it starts being like the world on its multiple layers. And that's what has to happen for you to survive in this system. In survive, I don't mean, you know, the rough, to survive, don't die. I mean,
maybe thrive.
to stay in this relationship with many people at the same time. You have to learn how to get better all the time. And so you kind of after a while, it started out with me just wanting to stay close to Joshua because I was and am so madly in love with him that I don't want to be far away ever. But in a way, it became about the process that supported that, which is sort of like, I like the taste of growth. I like the taste of change. I like facing new circumstances and decoding what needs to happen and understanding how to do it and training and new skills and just constantly accepting new challenges, new input, new people, new pieces of the world. People don't move like much in their lives, right? Once they settle down, they kind of they do that, they settle down. But you get used to this movement and you start wanting growth. And the only growth that is sustainable is a growth that has values to it. And as he is kind of like the center of this group, the values, we share common values because we share a common framework. So what kept us together, I believe, all these years and what made it work was really the fact that we practice the same values and we value our growth. These two things. We want to grow, so we accept all the challenges that other people would be like, fuck this, sorry. We
don't worry about the profanity. You've said enough, right? Hey, carry on, please. Yeah.
I avoided actual words, you know. And the second thing was really that we follow the same principles. So in the end, we don't fuck each other over, right? We take care of each other because we believe in the same values. And when we have a misunderstanding, even if it's bad, like I had a fallout recently with one of his other partners that involved really deep feelings of disappointment and betrayal, right? But in the end, there is faith on both ends that we will move past it and see beyond it. And so we're not burning that bridge. We're keeping it open and rebuilding it because we both believe in that any kind of failure in between all of us is temporary. It's just, we believe that in the end, we're going to stay together. So
how often?
And we act on that.
Yeah. How often do you guys actually all meet up in one place?
So that varies depending on schedules, especially, right? Because two have children, which they have to be mindful of. One lives over an hour away in Long Island. And that's a lot of scheduling to put together. Ideally, the goal would be if I could get them all together once or twice a month for dinner, right? So we can all be sitting at the same table, phenomenal. But like I'm traveling now, I bounce around all the time, so that in and of itself makes it difficult. I would love in the big picture if we all lived on the same property, right? So that we can be supportive of each other, of each other's families, of each other's, again, goals and direction.
Because wow.
I think my husband has a ways to get there.
Yeah, but that's also a priority as well. Is if I could if him and I could be on the same level that I am with everyone else in my life, not in intimacy, but friendship. Well, maybe intimacy. No, but in friendship, like I would love that. It's not exactly where we want it to be, but we're working on it.
Have you met, has your husband met Joshua and like face to
Yeah,
face?
numerous times.
Like,
Yes, several times, yes.
okay. Very interesting. Because like this is the thing, when kids are involved and everything like that, with what is going on with you guys, it's one of those things where I'm not gonna say it's strange, but it's different in such a way that I it's tricky for adults to reconcile this all and work it out in their head, let alone kids who are like growing, developing at this present time.
I'll take this one.
Yeah.
Done?
It's like, I don't want to touch this one.
No, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Because I just recently stuff that happened in my children's lives in their school made me understand that I am extremely lucky to be living in a time of huge changes in what comes to norms of gender and sexuality and social norms. My kids are growing up in an environment where they kind of accept new changes to the norm almost on a monthly basis, right? The changes to gender identity, where happened, from one year to the next in their school year, and they take it because they're young. They kind of take it all for they're so young, so they take it for this is the world, right? So they take it for granted now that they can't assume that a person is a he or a she based on appearance. They might be something different. And their elementary school teacher, for example, wears a collar to work. She's in a BDSM dynamic and she wears her collar to work. So I believe that they are it's more difficult for us than it is to them. Way more difficult, because we are the one with strict normative systems of norms built into our mind, thinking like, oh no, we stepped away from the straight line. What will happen now? How will we explain this to our kids? But I do believe the children are being exposed to a very different system, and when they come to it, when it comes time to address it, it's going to be one of many options that exist.
Yeah. Can I continue, Carl?
Please.
So Slave Mary has a daughter who's 6 years old, and she knows all about all of us. She knows about mommy and Joshua. She calls me Joshua because sometimes I dress up in more feminine gear. She's kind of psychic, the 6-year-old. But she's explained the process of loving and how vast and open it can be versus what society expects, right? So being able to plant these seeds into children to say, listen, as long as you love strong and it comes back to the consent and the moral obligations of being a good human.
Okay.
If you can do that, just run with
it. Because like this is the thing, I listen to what you've said, Karma, with regards to the kids growing up in a more liberal and more open-minded world. Like I have to say, yes, it is, but no, it's not. Like if you kind of look at what's gone on with Dylan Mulvaney recently with a certain alcoholic beverage, okay. There is, I would say, as much as the world is liberal, it is conservative, and where we sit on the spectrum of it all is in a very interesting place. I can't say there is one clear definition of this is right, this is wrong, and this is where it all sits. because it's all seems like shifting sands at this present time. Because look, for like, yeah, for the young girl who like is psychic, who was like, yes, that's her world and that's how she sees it. And for other kids, well, it's going to be considerably different, you know?
True, but
So
like you said, we live shifting sands. They grew up on this shifting sands. They have a flexibility in their values and their understanding of the world that is much broader than what, as in, they can accept new input in a way that I couldn't. I didn't get that option. But they are, as in, things being different, things being multiple options of how to do stuff, things being individually tailored. I'm not saying, polyamory versus monogamy. I'm saying everything rather than yes or no, right or wrong. They're growing up in a much more multifaceted system. And I am sure that in that system,
Let me be clear. I'm not saying one versus the other. I'm just saying with people, like with the perspective of society, it is not like, I don't think it's as open as you're saying it is, but I don't think it's as close-minded as other people like say it is. I'm not too sure where that sort of sits right now with it all. Because look, as we sit here having this conversation, mentioned it before, yes, you conceal your identity because there is a certain element of our society which will not be accepting of what either of you guys are doing. They'll be like, I know what the hell is this? Blah, blah, blah. Break out the pitchforks and they'll come for you in the night, in the more extreme sense. But there are other people which will like, oh, yeah, you can love what you're doing. Yeah, that's the way. Like, free love, like have this openness and like, yeah, like be what you need to be. So it's not as clear cut, which you're quite clear of because you sit here right now wearing a mask.
with a mask, yeah.
absolutely.
So like what, let me just come back to that. So the idea isn't to preach to everyone to say you can be different, because God knows with this Dylan Mulvaney thing, it's bananas. It shows ignorance and lack of acceptance for a person's choice, right? Because you have people who bodybuild to get an aesthetic that they want, to connect with their body, how they feel it's going to be. You have people who do plastic surgery. And this is a touchy subject because I have very particular views on transgenderism, but that's a whole different topic. Now, the issue is two things. One, we have to set the example for what we want to see. We can't expect conformity, but we have to show what's possible. Because what happens is people are watching and they're envious to some degree of the freedom that comes with open and honest communication. Now, it's not like I can't say we don't walk down the street all dressed up too, but the idea isn't to force it down people's throats. The idea is to show how when I talk to people, my goal is to get them to agree with what I'm saying by breaking our lifestyle down to a way that they can comprehend. Because what they're seeing versus what we're experiencing are two different things. For example, the leash and the collar. Right? Everyone's like, why would you wear a collar out in public? For us, it's a symbol of commitment, just like the wedding ring. And we're even also willing, based on our beliefs of our commitment, to put ourselves at risk of being ridiculed and out of the space of comfort to speak our truth. Nothing comes easy. Everything comes at a price. And conformity is comfortable. And I understand if some people need that because we've never been given the space to be individuals anyway, right? So it's like what we're trying to do is show, just through our own practices, that if you can walk your story, let other people watch and learn from what your actions are versus prescribing them, these are the steps.
Yeah, because like with what you said just there, like I would say it's more like it should be more about bringing awareness of what you guys do and your sort of lifestyle. Because like when like you did mention conformity in that, when you made that statement, which I would say like conforming, like no one likes to be like going like you must conform to this. Well, I might be talking to the wrong people here. It's like going,
It really depends what this is.
But generally, most like people are like when you go, you must conform to this or conform to that. People are like push back, tend to push back. With regards to that, when you're making people aware of this, then they can sort of make their own informed choice. I think that is a better course of action. I might be wrong, but you know what I mean. That's the way I see it.
What I like to do is I break it down to religion.
Mm.
So I'm going to define two things. Spirituality is how one person treats themselves through their belief system.
Yeah.
Religion, in my definition, is how you treat others through your belief system.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever belief you put in there, if it's Christianity, Judaism, Catholicism, those are choices. But we still are governed in how we treat people. Now, I like to say leather is a different type of religion, meaning our principles are still based on open and honest communication, transparency, truth, respect, equality, all of those things that make a human being be a good human being. Now, this is in practice. Not everyone practices what they preach. The difference between leather and all of them other ones, to the degree that the doctrine is explained, is I will accept you as you are sexually too, and I won't judge you. And there's a freedom and a power when you're with someone. They say, I see you and I respect you and I accept you as you are. Tell me about yourself. And then that's where we start to open the doors of the darker things. And it doesn't have to be sexually intimate or sexual in nature. It's just about vulnerability, right? Just to be seen and heard. And those are the principles that we're trying to, when people ask us, they say, how can you get here? We get here by a lot of hard work and a lot of vulnerability. And we get to say and do things that most people can't because they're afraid.
I'll attest to that. It sounds very abstract. I mean, it could sound abstract if you don't have the experience, but standing naked in front of somebody and saying, exposing something you're ashamed of and putting it out there and saying, I'm afraid of this. I'm ashamed of this. I'm afraid I don't look good enough to do this. I'm afraid I'm an idiot for wanting this. And then getting what you want and being empowered by that. Having somebody who says, no, I see you, and you're not too fat or too old to be doing this, and I will do this with you, and I will show you you're not an idiot, and we do it. Whatever it was that I was afraid and ashamed of doing. And then after that, it's part of yourself that you didn't have access to before, and now you control, you live in it now. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like you're just pulling more and more material to yourself. You're taking what you thought you could never have before, right?
What's cool about that also is you only have to do that one time. That one time of crossing the threshold of being accepted to say, why would I settle for anything less? And it becomes your norm, right? Because once you can raise the threshold, and it boils down to who gets access to your time and your body, right? Once you can see your power in your word, you can start differentiating between, is this person worth my time? Are they helping me get to my goals? Are they accepting me for who I am? If not, why are we here?
Because like this is the thing, like, okay, you're both on a journey of like evolution discovery. Like how do you see either both of you evolving together or like collectively in the group evolving together over the next few years? Because Definitely. You are considerably different to when you started this journey to what you are now. And like, hey, Joshua, you are considerably different, especially when you went through that age of turmoil, with both accusations going on, you know? So where do you see you guys evolving and growing to? Yeah.
In 5 years from today, I see us almost in the same place, only whatever we're not happy about, whatever didn't work, is already working because we put 5 years of work into it. But for me, I don't want to be anywhere. When it comes to us, Joshua and myself, I don't want to be anywhere different. I don't need to be anywhere different. I don't need like anything else from this. I don't want to become anything else, because right now, what do I want in 5 years' time? To have been with him for 5 years. That's it. In this format, to have worked through all the little challenges of raising kids and having multiple partners and going to people's birthdays together and seeing movies and celebrating holidays and standing up for the people who need you and just being good people with each other for 5 more years is my goal for the next 5 years in regards to him.
Yeah, I agree with Karma. It's difficult to plan to put a pin on it, because I would have imagined the last 5 years going this way and seeing the fruit of all the labor. I would love I would love to, again, to have this property where we're all pursuing our own goals, dreams, supportive. Karma, how do we get the book out there? How do we get her publishing company up and running? How do we get the storytelling that she wants to do moving? Right? It's like, I want to put as much energy, and I want us all to be able to put energy into her basket. The same goes for any of the partners that aren't, especially when the goal isn't focused on me, because I don't want that. I want to move you along so that when you hit your stride and I'm not in my stride, you can provide me the support. Like there was one discussion that came up around an exit strategy, an exit plan. If I were to break up with a partner, it's like, I don't think about those because I don't plan that. Right? It's like the minute for me I put something into my mind, it's on the radar, and now it's a real possibility. Like, I don't deal in negative values. Not negative values as in that's a poor value, but things that aren't positive or constructive, but are more detracting. I try not to look things through that lens. Okay. So I want us to keep moving.
Because like, this is the thing. Say you don't want anything to change, Karma. Like the next 5 years, you want to be together and everything.
In regards to him.
Oh, like, so, but like the whole thing is, look, just from doing the book, starting a publishing company, like whatever, like sort of ventures and goals, like Joshua wants to go, like get up to, or whatever the other 3 members of the group want to do, there is going to be growth. There is going to be change. It's inevitable. Just through your kids growing up, it's inevitable. So like the whole thing is like, yeah, the reason why I asked, like, how you want to grow, like evolve, change, it's baked in. You can't stop it. Really, I really wish you could, because everyone gets a little bit older. You can't stop it. So yeah.
Well, it's when you're talking about a partnership with one person who has 5 more partners who are also your partners, keep maintaining growth together is not an obvious. It's not a given. It's not going to happen by default. It does not. It requires a lot of work and growth and continual change. And maybe I'll rephrase it by saying, I just want things to stay the same. I mean, I want us to overcome all those little humps and difficulties along the way to become really a family that can, it's fairly new to me to think of us under those terms, because for many years not think about the others as a symbiotic system. They were competition that needed to be tolerated if it could not be eliminated. All right, they were competition. As in,
So,
all right.
in a Game of
So
Thrones
that should
from
be
this.
the point of origin to show you
Yeah.
it's not like, naturally. It's a dramatic shift. It's a system of dramatic shifts that happen one after the other to get from like I hate the fact that there's others taking my time with him, and but I can't kill him, so I might as well join him to to the place that is, I want to build a life in which we all support each other, right? That is not all support each other. My husband too, I want him to be supported by Joshua. Why should we all enjoy each other's support and he stay off the side because he can't? I would like us really to all support each other. And I don't think it's something that will happen gradually or naturally by the force of inertia or by the force of, life will make it happen. I think it is a continuous process of gathering every teeny little opportunity along the way to make that happen and grooming it until you see results, and taking results and planting them again and grooming them again until you get to a point where everybody's sitting at the table together and you can say, okay, wow, we made it. Because it happened before, so it happened again.
Integrating all the lessons that you learn, right? You can't just have experienced the lesson and then put that tool aside. Once you go through these tough situations and you see the price and the reward of truth, of the hard work, you don't undo that, right? Because it's like it changes the value of the connection of the relationship. It's like, wow, they're in here slinging rocks too, and we're gonna get out of this.
Yeah.
5 years, yeah. In 5 years, I want to take my kids to a movie with my husband and Joshua. That's what I want to do.
Okay.
And I want us all to have a dinner together, all of us. That's 5 years.
Well, yeah, no, that'll be an interesting time to say the least. But like, yeah,
You'll be invited. You'll be invited to Thanksgiving.
oh, I guess,
That'll be a good show,
Oh well, you know what? I'll be there.
Oh wow!
Thanksgiving 5 years from now.
I'll be there with a mic, like no doubt. And a little crew that's like, okay, yeah, like God knows what carving means in your world, but that'll be a different story. But like, one of the things which strikes me is like, you both have this realm, you give off this aura of ambition, both of you. And here's the thing, like, not everyone can necessarily be on that level. So when you start growing, developing, and everything like this, is it a case of you bring the other member who might not be thriving as much with you, or is it a case of you go your separate ways, and that's a challenge in itself?
For me, the promise, that one of the ground rules of this is the goal is not to grow separately.
Okay.
The goal is just like the goal. If the goal is to raise your kids, you can't do it without your kids. Then the goal here is and parcel of we all stay together. The failure to achieve it is if we lose people. That's a failure in my eye. Even if I don't like these people, or even if I don't get along with them on a natural basis, it is, in my eyes, it is a family, and my role inside this family is to do whatever I can to keep it together.
No, The only reason why I bring this up is because I see it really a huge challenge for yourself,
He
Karma.
froze.
Oh,
Too much for it. You froze.
oh yeah, man.
Say it again.
Yeah, I see it as a huge challenge for yourself
Oh,
because, like, the reason why I say this, like, okay, 2 kids, like, 2 gents, 3 other people.
he's gonna have to cut that.
I think he's gone, but yeah. I think everyone's frozen out. The internet gods are leaving me. Wait a second. Let's see.
There we go.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I don't. As I was saying, there is a great challenge for yourself, Carmen, because yes, you've got 2 kids, 2 gents, 3 other people in the mix, plus book, like publishing company. That is a lot pulling on one person. And same thing with yourself, Joshua. You got you're at five people you're in a relationship with, plus like all the other things you get up to as well. That is a lot pulling on each of you. It's just, I find it like the time management on that alone must be epic, to say the least. Like, how, like,
Yeah. I don't know how we do it. We've been doing it for a few years
When I-
now, so it seems to be
When
possible.
when I figure it out, I'll write a book on it.
yes, I think you would make quite a healthy penny from it. A healthy penny indeed. So now looking at the time and like, yes, the way the internet gods are treating us, it's coming to that moment where it's coming to the end. But like, I have to ask now, this might be off tangent, but what are the things at this present time what give you that air of gratitude, that sort of air of joy? Like, be it personal, physical, I don't know. Like, Joshua, let me ask you that question first of all, because yes, I would like to.
I thank the universe at least 3 or 4 times a day for my life. I try to show as much gratitude for everything that I have, simply because of all the work that it took to get here. I wouldn't have been able to put a finger on this life years ago. Absolutely. Like, it's a huge sacrifice and huge investment with a great return. The tough part about it is that it swings in extremes, right? Either things are going extremely well, but when they go bad, they can go extremely bad. But that's how my life is at the moment. That's how it's been for a number of years now. So it's like I'm used to this pace. I don't put the relationships as the priority. I want everyone to put themselves as their own priorities, and we're there to support them. And I think that's how it helps with the time management. Is I try to integrate everything and everyone into my life. Like, Karma can walk up to my place and come in. She has a key. There's no, like, you belong here in my life. So it's like there doesn't have to be permissions. It's mostly about logistics and scheduling more so than time management. Now, with that being said, everyone gets their own time to the best degree that I can, that we can. Where we'll have one-on-ones, we'll go out on date nights and stuff like that when feasible. But the truth of the matter is my work, my purpose is my priority. My relationships are a very big priority too. But if I can't rely on them to make me happy, I can rely on them to support my happiness.
Okay. Karma, how about yourself?
You have to repeat the question because his answer took me drew my attention. What was the question again?
Basically, what's brought you gratitude, joy, like happiness over the last few months?
How honest do you want the question? How honest do you want the answer?
Well, like, this is the thing. Like, I don't understand why you would hold back now. Like, after conversation of someone being lowered on a Like,
Listen,
finally,
I'm really enjoying being me. I'm really enjoying being me. I'm in a place where all I need to do, I'm aware that at this point, all I need to do is to agree to want something wholeheartedly, and I know it's going to come. I am very much enjoying my life. I am very grateful for having like this sweet, wholesome, honest family that I could just, just sweet kids, sweet, funny, cute. I can hug him and kiss him and tickle him and chase him around, and then I can go be hugged, kissed, chased, and tickled. and and I get I am very grateful because I get the best of both worlds. I believe when I do my best, I can get the best of both worlds, and I have a family that is kind of like the best of your white picket fence dream. I believe it is that. And I have another family, which has nothing to do with a white picket fence dream, except if you use the fence in all kinds of original ways. And I love them both, and they can ultimately work together. It's a lot of work, but they can work together, and I am grateful for just having these two things side by side, seeing them meet and me, and know that with time they will become more and more of a synergy.
excellent. Yes.
Ooh. And my original, answer was I'm very grateful for the sex, but
well, you know what? Hey, you keep rocking and plugging away. That's what I gotta say. Yes. I've got to say, yeah, thank you guys for coming on today. It has been a delight and a pleasure. Yes, you tried to ambush me, but I was ready for you, Karma. I was ready for you. It's like, yeah. And yeah, Joshua, pleasure meeting.
I ambushed him too. I was like 2 minutes before. I'm like, I'm going on. You want to join?
He's like, yeah.
So it's not specific to you. It's just how I do.
It's her role.
Yes. Can you tell the lovely people how they can find both of you? If it's on separate things, this is your time to plug away. Plug.
Surviving Master Joshua, the BDSM memoir of an unfaithful wife, is where you find the backstory to all this chit-chat, well written and clear. You find it on the internet by Googling it, Surviving Master Joshua, the BDSM memoir of the Unfaithful Wife by Karma Sid.
Joshua, and yourself?
What about carnal culture?
Carnalculture.publishing.com or really everything is under that Google, yes. Or survivingmasterjoshua.com. It'll all come up.
See, this is what I mean by support each other. For myself, it's masterjoshua.com, kinkcollective.net, that's KINK collective.net, and ssdce.org, that stands for Sanctuary for Spiritual Development and Consciousness Expansion. I can also be found on all major media sites under Master Joshua NYC.
Excellent. Thank you guys for coming on. You have been a delight. You have been a pleasure. You have opened my eyes up, and my innocence is gone.
Thank you so much for having us.
Come on Friday, what goes on?
I'm good. Yes, thank you guys. And I'd like to say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors, for sticking with us to the end, this eye-opening end. But yes, let me just say, stay well, stay safe, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic, be all the positive bees you could be in this world and then some. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys. Peace.
Bye.
Oh, yes. And we are